Hello everyone, and greetings from Japan. Thank you very much for the nice introduction. I'm really happy to be able to present our work here to you today. This is joint work with Graham Wilcock and, of course, the Furhat Robots. One of the issues in the current human-robot interaction research is the aim for personalized long-term interactions. To address such issues as proactive reactions, adaptation, grounding, creating joint histories, memories, effects, etc., we need a memory of the past events and interaction, which goes beyond merely listing the previous utterances as context in prompts. That is, we need to structure the robot's memory and have some cognitive design, how to manage and use the memory. In our previous work, we have focused on knowledge graphs for dialogue modeling and grounding, and in collaboration with the University of Tampere, we have used the knowledge graphs for personalized response generation. Recently, agentive AI framework is raising interest in cognitive architectures. In this talk, I will discuss such architectures and how they can be implemented in a new framework called LangGraph and used towards representing episodic memory for conversation with social robots like Furhat. Cognitive architectures have been around since 1980s, and for instance, SOAR was developed by John Laird to explore the requirements for general intelligence and to demonstrate general intelligent behavior. Also, John Anderson and his colleagues had developed ACT-R to model human cognition, especially short-term memory, including visual attention. Koala is a new cognitive architecture that follows the tradition of SOAR. For instance, having short-term memory and 3 types of long-term memories: semantic, episodic, and procedural memory. The difference from SOAR is that Koala is designed to be used with modern generative AI language agents. Many of you are familiar with LangChain, used to pipeline large language models, and maybe also with AI agent workflows. LangGraph is designed to manage complex workflows with generative language agents. It provides an implementation of many parts of Koala, including short-term and long-term memories. A LangGraph agent is defined as a graph whose nodes are Python functions, and the agent state is regularly saved to short-term memory by a checkpointer. LangGraph implements a short-term and 3 partitioned long-term memories. Semantic memory is a static knowledge of the world, for instance, user profiles that can be used to give personalized responses. Episodic memory refers to important events for a person, and procedural memory contains instructions for performing tasks. LangGraph can be divided into namespaces for specific users or topics, so these memories can be saved for multiple conversations. Older memories can be summarized, so we can try to mimic fading of details like in human memory. What our work is focused on is the episodic memory in conversation, and we have especially been interested in the user being in control of what is saved into long-term memory. There are more details of the actual technical aspects in our paper, but I skipped them for this presentation. This is a dialogue excerpt from a dialogue with Furhat, which assists the user to plan a trip to Naples. Actually, on the screen, this part of the script is omitted, but it's shown in the full dialogue video. Using the line graph, Furhat has constructed shared knowledge in the memories saved to the memory store without any specific instructions to do so. For example, when the user mentions the planning a trip to Naples, the robot simply adds traveling to the list of interest of the user and saves it in the long-term memory. In other words, experiences, in this case through the conversational interactions, are saved and thus they can be used for learning from past interactions in later stages of the dialogue. The extractor also shows what is in the Furhat's memory as the user asks what it remembers about me, the user. And Furhat tells about the user's interest in historical events and sites, what it has learned through the conversation. The user can also request to delete the memories, and Furhat does this. Before I show the video, let me show you the last slide of future topics of this research. Our example comes from our ongoing work, how to build common understanding between humans and robots. There are many questions for future work. For instance, we follow the common framework for grounding or establishing shared knowledge among dialogue participants. Thus, one important aspect or future tasks is to integrate grounding process, grounded knowledge, and the memory cycle, for instance, in clarifications and error management, since not all extracted entities are equally important for long-term storing. And some may already be known, so the grounding process is needed to establish the important entities that will be stored. This leads to another question, namely, what is the important experience? Individual episodic memories vary as we focus on different aspects of ongoing conversation, and we evaluate the information for our own goals. Thus, aspects of focus of attention and user intentions are also important to take into account. Also, we forget the details and events as we tend to confabulate past events ourselves. So how the memory works requires further investigations, how we forget things, we summarize them, and also we need closer studies with neurocognitive approaches. Of course, we also need to evaluate this framework with real users, and I would be really happy if any of you would be interested to joining us for this exercise later on. Finally, I wish to emphasize responsible AI in connection with personalized long-term interactions, especially considering the episodic memory. Since memories are personal, we are balancing on the borderline of private and public information. When the AI agent stores episodic memories for learning and adapting responses further, we need to ask what is the goal and context in which this takes place. I'd like to emphasize that the user should always be in control of what information to save in the long-term memory. And one step towards this kind of responsible design is to allow the user to explicitly check what is stored in the agent's memory and delete it if she so wishes. And here I would like to show you the video. Well, what have you learned about me in this conversation?
I've learned that you're Kristiina, planning a trip to Naples, and you're particularly interested in historical sites like Pompeii and Castel Nuovo. If there's anything else you'd like to share or ask, feel free.
Okay, thank you very much for your attention, and I'm now ready for any questions and comments. Thank you.